and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Let's bring you up to speed with what we're tracking in politics and in the polity. Tension in Rivers State Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party as court-restrained escort led by Aaron Chukwuemeka hold meeting amidst tight security, while the acting executive also meet elsewhere, vowing to investigate anti-party activities, especially during the 2023 general elections. An unspecified number of Nigerian military personnel missing in recent ambush by Boko Haram insurgents in Baga on the fringes of Lake Chad. The federal government replies Emir of Kano Mohammed Sanusi II saying they don't need his validation on how the government manages the economy. Thanks again for joining us on the program, where we'll bring you up to speed at midday on what's going on in the polity. And we begin the tracking of the polity with a response of the federal government to the Emir of Kano Mohammed Sanusi II on the economic reforms of Bola Tinubu, the president. The monarch at an event in Lagos said he would remain an observer, not offer economic advice to the Tinubu administration because they have not behaved like friends. In his response, the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, in a statement says the federal government does not need the Emir's stamp of approval for its policies that are on course to reposition the nation's economy. The minister says it is disappointing that the Emir, who once hailed the removal of petrol subsidy and the unification of forex rates, now subtly condemn the policies because of a shift in his words, loyalty, urging the monarch to rise above personal interest and what he describes as partisan undertones and prioritize the greater good of Nigerians, given the decades of economic mismanagement, as admitted by the Emir in his remarks. All right, let's talk about the embattled or some of the things that is going on in Rivers State, where the embattled chairman of the Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, Aaron Chukwuemeka, says is still the only recognized chairman of the party in the state and is not leaving. Chukwuemeka made his remark at the party secretariat in Port Harcourt. He brandished letters while insisting that he and his ESCO were duly elected as officials of the party. He also called on the governor to desist from destabilizing the party.
I want to tell you people as my ESCOs that you should remain calm. Our law is here to address us on the steps we have taken to ensure that justice is done. We were duly elected. With me here is the letter from the National Secretariat. After our election, after we were sworn in, this was a letter written to INEC, notifying them of the state executive, the local government executive, and the World ESCO. This letter is with the REC, it's also with the INEC National Resident Commissioner. As people who were duly elected, we followed the due processes, we sold forms, we bought forms, and we were screened, and the panel that came to conduct this election came from the National Party Secretariat, and we were duly elected and sworn in.
Meanwhile, the acting executive of the People's Democratic Party in the state, Mr. Robinson Name, that's who is leading that part, has vowed to thoroughly investigate allegations of cases of anti-party activities involving his members. The committee announced plans to establish a disciplinary committee or panel in the coming days, emphasizing that it will not hesitate to recommend sanctions, including suspensions and expulsion from the party, regardless of individual stature or status. This position was revealed during a press briefing attended by acting executive from both state and local government levels.
Under our new leadership, we shall immediately commence steps towards healing and rebuilding a once great party that was battered. Hope lost across the state, 23 LGA and 319 electoral wards. We shall make PDP River State chapter great again. To achieve the above, we shall consult with all critical stakeholders of the party, unite members, and work with them to restore the already lost hope. We shall embark on sensitization tour across the 23 LGA, embark on membership drive to boost the population of the party for future elections. We shall also, in the next few days, set up a disciplinary committee to deal with issues of anti-party activities, especially during the 2023 general elections and beyond, and every other activities by party members that is capable of bringing the party to disrepute. Those that are found wanting shall be disciplined appropriately, including but not limited to suspension, sacking, and sanctions that are known to the party constitution.
Rivers is an interesting state, always in the news. We're then being joined in the program by correspondent Charles Opperum, who is bringing us up to speed. These two gentlemen spoke today, and there would have been a big crisis today in Rivers State because the court order restrained Aaron Chukwuemeka, but he said he's still in charge of the party, and they held the meeting at the party secretariat. The ESCO, the acting ESCO also wanted to go there, but I understand police spoke to them not to go there. But let's bring in the man who's been on ground. Charles Opperum is our correspondent from Port Harcourt. Charles, can there ever be peace in this whole? Walk us, what played out today?
Okay. Good afternoon, Jeff. Of course, there can always be peace, but we don't agree with Rivers State. It's probably the political headquarters of Nigeria, if you like. So this is what played out today. I'll start from yesterday. There was a press briefing put together by Dr. Nname Robinson Ewo, who before last year's Congress was the PDP Rivers West Senatorial Vice Chairman. But after the Congress, a new set of exco were elected. Now, after the court ruling came restraining Aaron Chukwuemeka and members of his exco from parading themselves as officials of the party, Dr. Ewo and some loyalists of the governor within the People's Democratic Party addressed that press conference and said, oh no, there cannot be a vacuum. And so I, Dr. Ewo, have become the acting chairman of the party alongside some of my exco. And he called on the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party to recognize him and to obey the court ruling. Now, this is very important because he said by tomorrow, we will go and reclaim or take possession of the party secretariat. That was this morning. Now, Aaron Chukwuemeka's exco, who were restrained by the court, by the way, came this morning as well and said they were going to have their own press briefing by 8 a.m. So both sets of, well, I call them fractional exco or exco now, takes their press briefing by 8 a.m. Originally, it was supposed to be at the same venue, but then, at the last minute, there was a change of plans, and Dr. Ewo had his own, along with his people, somewhere else, while Aaron Chukwuemeka and his own people were occupying the People's Democratic Party headquarters, secretariat rather, along Aba Road. Now, security presence was very heavy. When I got there this morning, the lane directly in front of the secretariat was completely barricaded by the police. The security presence was so heavy, members of the DSS were there, the policemen were there, civil defense were all there. And then there was this crowd of supporters who were also there to listen to Aaron Chukwuemeka say that he is still in charge, and that as of this moment, according to the party's legal advisor, Dr. Kingston Chukwu, SAN, he said they have applied for the proceeding and the certified true copy, and they are yet to get it. But whenever they do get it, they will appeal that ruling. But up till now, they haven't received it. Jeff.
All right, Charles, that's why we have you and the rest of the team on ground to bring us up to speed with the drama that never ends. I also call it the literal political imbroglio and conundrum in Rivers State. But thank you for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And you too. Well, let's move away from Rivers State to tell you what happened in Borno State, where an unspecified number of Nigerian military personnel have been missing in recent ambush by the Boko Haram terrorists in Baga the fringes of the Lake Chad Basin. Personnel of the armed forces, while confiding in on Channels Television, says soldiers were ambushed while trying to recover dead bodies of the over 40 residents killed by insurgents, and several soldiers were shot in the gun battle that ensued. There were about 50 villagers mobilized, went out to recover the dead bodies of the villagers that were killed by Boko Haram, those farmers, and then the terrorists ambushed them. The source said 50 men, including civilian, joint task force, local hunters, and young men were part of the people who went out to make those recoveries. The incident occurred Tuesday in Baga after an attack killed 40 residents. And so let's switch gears now. We're bringing in Dennis Amakri, a former DSS Assistant Director, joining us via Zoom. Mr. Dennis Amakri, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Absolutely. Walk us through what you make of this situation. I know you're from Rivers State, but let's leave Rivers politics for a Rivers politician. Let's talk about national security. But let's talk about this. When I read this story, I had to read again to say, missing soldiers? What exactly is going on? There were gains in recent time. We even applauded the government, but right now it looks like there's a resurgence and is almost in quick succession and astronomical. What do you make?
I think, thank you very much for having me. Yes, there are gains. There are gains generally in Northeast, Northwest. You know, the military and security agencies have been doing very, very well. But there is a loophole. And that loophole is that although we are making gains, especially in Borno, you know, the military power and of course even the security intelligence power is concentrated in Maiduguri, where when you see all those far-flung areas where this thing just happened, even Chibok areas, the terrorists have time to go around because after the fight, they are supposed to be driven away, and then of course the police is supposed to take over, you know, and that's how it's supposed to happen. But after the fight, the natives are left there and without any protection. And then of course the terrorists are coming around and looking and checking out what's going on, and when they don't see any security presence, they strike. So even the last thing that just happened where they have to ambush them, you know, shows you weak security presence, because they know that, you know, they can, and no intelligence to tell them that, look, these people are even still around, and going out there by themselves to go and pick up dead bodies, I don't think was a very good move.
It's so, for me as a lay person, it's just so difficult to process what is going on, especially. So talk to us about the area. People have mentioned things like ungovernable spaces, and is it that our army or our police is so overstretched? Because from the intelligence point of view, from what you said, the rule is when places are recovered or regained, or whatever term is used, the police is stationed to make sure everywhere is stabilized. So why is that not done? Is it a question of manpower or resources? What exactly is the limitation here?
Our police is seriously overstretched. Seriously overstretched, because, you know, where do they have that number? You know, and for those who are available, we are busy using them to protect local government chairmen, politicians, and other net worth individuals, you know. So you see in Nigeria now, one of the indices of showing that you're a big man is to have a mopole all surrounding you and moving around, you know, which is not a very good idea. Because what we want to do is to deploy these people to do law enforcement, and then of course give a security blanket where everybody will, you know, operate. But when we concentrate the police or the law enforcement agents to high network individuals or to politicians, who take them around and in fact harass ordinary civilians on the road, then there is a big porous, hole where anything could happen.
So, because I know that in the president's campaign document, that 80-page Renewed Hope Agenda document, it had mentioned that the NSCDC will be repurposed, improved upon, so that all the big men and all of this will now use the NSCDC so that the police can be freed up to do this work. So, is this some form of saying the issue of state police is as urgent as yesterday?
It's as urgent as 10 years ago. You don't have to use police for protection. Even for the president himself, the protection that he needs is the DSS. The DSS will provide protection for himself, the vice, their families, governors, deputies, and their families, and of course some other important ministers that the DSS will protect. But instead, now they are asking for protection, and then the police itself is not supposed to be in that close protection circle. They are supposed to be in the outer ring. But now you see policemen carrying arms. It scares me when I see policemen with long AK-47, all of them moving together with a VIP, everybody looking for, should I say, importance or trying to look for space, all by the VIP. That's dangerous. Very dangerous, because they could, in fact, accidentally discharge.
Yeah, Mr. Amakre, we can talk about this issue. It's going to be a conversation for another day. We can even understand high net worth individuals and the what do you call it now? The government officials, even Yahoo boys, carry police around.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, some of these people, you're wondering how they made their money. Well, before, let's use the word allegedly, so that we're in line with the law. But that's what the police is supposed to do, to know who they are following around. But let's talk about terrorism financing. We had a conversation with Mr. Kabir Adamo this morning, and he has talked about the fact that we know, those were his words, we know who is funding what. So I'm asking myself, as a Nigerian, if we know who is funding what, because the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, had an interview with an international media, and he did say we need to trace the funding. More like we don't know the funding. I don't know whether he didn't know the funding or he was just trying to make a statement. But if we know the funders of terrorism that are constantly hitting us, why are we not doing something urgent about it from an intelligence point of view?
Well, I aligned myself with Kabir Adamu, my colleague, and of course, I think the security agencies know. But I think there is a dearth of trying to prosecute them or bring their names and shame them, or, just overlooking, those who have been, publicly known. Because remember, the United Arab Emirates gave a list to the former administration, and the Attorney General was having the list. He couldn't say that he doesn't have it again. He did, but there was no prosecution. You see, and that is the basic issue that we have, where all these guys will come out, fund terrorism, and then nothing happens. Some of them are basically even in government. Some of them are defrauding the government itself, and nobody, even when EFCC try to prosecute them, they try to get out of the hook, and then you see them dancing and partying all over the place. So in Nigeria generally, you don't have where there is punishment to deter these people. They believe that they can do it, and then politically they can get away with it. So And that's why you see that thing seeping down in society, all the way down to Yahoo boys, all kinds of people, you know. A boyfriend killing his girlfriend, trying to seek for money because they believe that nothing will happen, you know. And basically, when you see that, how many people kidnapping, how many people have we actually prosecuted? Do we know the names? Why don't we bring out their names so that everybody will know these are the people giving the country problems?
Okay, let's talk about the issue of accountability. So there are two ways to it. There are two ways to this conversation. I must thank the military and the police for their service and those of you in the intelligence community, but that doesn't mean we will not ask questions. And one of the questions we will always ask is, who holds who accountable for failures like this? Because there's a failure somewhere. If we're looking between, we can trace some failures, either a failure of intelligence, a failure of response, a failure of something, a failure, there's still failure somewhere if we investigate. How do we bring a stronger level of accountability within the security formation so that we'll get the kind of results we're looking for?
Now, what will happen is this. The structure itself, which the president said that he was going to restructure, you know, is the main key. Because right now, before, actually, you find out that the police, they report to the president, the military are doing their own thing, you know, the National Security Advisor, which is supposed to be the clearinghouse of intelligence, is also on his own. Because then you find out during the Buhari days, you know, the National Security Advisor was totally on his own, claiming that there is nothing he can do, or threatening that he's going to deal with some people, which never happened, you know. So this time around, I think the president is right on that button right now, where he said in his very first speech that he's going to restructure the security architecture. And what he has done, you know, changing the heads, first of all, you've seen the one of DSS, and I think it's a very good move. And then, of course, also equipping them, and then, of course, bringing all of them under the National Security Advisor. That way, the National Security Advisor will play his normal role of a clearinghouse for intelligence, so that people are not talking differently, and they are all, you know, putting their eggs in one basket.
All right, just before I let you go, let's talk about the future, which is today, 2025, I mean. Let's talk about what you see in the intelligence community, which, as you mentioned, a new deputy DSS director, I think a female, I don't know, is that the first female to have attained that position? I'm not sure. You were a former DSS director, so you will be in a better position. What has to be done for us to minimize the level of attacks and fatality in the country? In just 30 seconds.
Okay, I think one important thing is that, you know, the appointment of Folashade as Deputy Director General is, of course, very unique. I think she has been the only female that has attained that level. We've had directors, female directors, who are in charge of state commands and directorates, but she is very, very well qualified. You know, a graduate of the Defense College, and then, of course, very well qualified, and I think she's going to help the DG, because what is going on is that he himself cannot carry all that load. So he has to at least distribute some of this thing out. But again, most importantly, I think they should go by intelligence-driven security. Intelligence-driven security in the sense that they are going to apply artificial intelligence, because the world is moving fast. You know, the old ways of doing things are not there anymore. So with AI, I think there are possibilities and new ways of even doing things more efficiently. So I believe that if they deploy those things, I think they can do better.
Mr. Dennis Amakri, former Assistant Director of the DSS, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. Also a security consultant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, just before we go, in River State, natives of Buguma in Asari Toro local government area and Bukuma in Degema local government area are calling on government and federal government this time to put pressure on the NNPCL to clean up their environment and compensate them. This followed a major leak at the NNPCL's manifold, which has led to massive fire engulfing the area around the community. The creek leak, which has been on fire for a month, has now led to a fire which has been burning for some days.
It's a long trek from Buguma town in Asari Toro local government area to the riverbank, just across from where a raging fire blazes.
The fire you see is burning at the Bukuma manifold. It is part of the NNPCL Shell joint venture, which is part of the oil mining lease 15. Indeed, if you look very closely, you'll discover that one fire is burning and there is another one that has just started. It's out of view. It's covered by the trees, but you can see the smoke coming out of there.
This is the Bukuma manifold, which is a part of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited's oil mining lease OML 15. A youth leader accuses the military of being responsible for causing the leak, but asks the federal government to clean up their environment as he shows us the extent of the damage to the water.
Oil theft and illegal refinery was at its lowest ebb. But all of a sudden, we saw a military-grade helicopter shooting in this axis, sporadically shooting at a very low altitude. Then the following morning, we noticed crude. The federal government to immediately stop the fire and do remedial action. We also want a thorough cleanup of the environment.
Midway through our stay there, we notice another fire breakout not far from the first one, with the natives raising further alarm about the risk to the adjoining communities.
Right now, there's another outlet of fire. Just as we are here to report the fire on the manifold, we can see another, a new set of outbursts of fire. And it is moving into the community.
A member of the Bukuma community who says he was present when the fire started alleges that it was an accident from the technical repair crew.
The crane was dragging something from the well to bring it out. What we saw was a spark. That's how came the fire. It was a spark that causes the fire.
When contacted, the information officer of the Nigerian Air Force Special Operations Group 115, Flight Lieutenant Anna Eondoaka, told Channels Television that the Nigerian Air Force is investigating the allegation to ascertain the veracity or otherwise, and gave assurances that the public will be furnished with the findings. Channels Television also contacted the Director General of the Nigerian Oil Spill Detection Response Agency, Mr. Emeka Woke, who claims that he was yet to be briefed about the situation, but promised to get back to us on the matter once he gets the details.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.